Hello everyone. In this video I'm gonna discuss how to draw a scatter plot. As you can see in this particular sheet, this is a scatter plot, this is another scatter plot, and this one is a different one. Now before starting with this one, let's go back to intro sheet and have a look on this particular area. Now this is a XY plot. X is in horizontal direction, Y is in the vertical direction, and X is what we call independent variable and Y is dependent variable. If you look at this particular equation, you can see Y is dependent upon the value of M, X and C, where C is a constant. Y is what we are going to find out for a particular value of X, and M is what we call slope of this line, and this is how you find out. Take any 2 point on this curve and take the y coordinate of this second point minus y coordinate of the first point divided by x coordinate of the second point minus x coordinate of the first point. So this is how you get the value of M, and this M is what we call slope. One thing that you need to note is that this independent variable is always in the horizontal axis. You cannot put this independent variable here and dependent variable here for this particular equation. Okay, now let's come back to this one. This data shows that for a particular temperature in a city, the sales figure of, let us say, ice cream by itself. So when the temperature was low, you can see the sale value was very low, and as the temperature was increasing in the city, the sales value was going up. Okay, and this trend is visible here too. Now I want to draw this particular plot for these two data. Now in these two, the very first thing that I need to figure out is which one is dependent, which one is independent. Now if I'll say that sales of ice cream is dependent upon temperature, that make more sense rather than saying that the temperature depends upon the sales. Okay, so in this case I'm saying that the sales depend upon temperature of the city. So temperature is going to be independent and sale is going to be dependent, and therefore sales should be in the vertical axis and temperature should be in the horizontal axis. Alright, so let's have a look how I can make this a scatter plot. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this sheet. I'm going to make a copy of this in the end. Okay, not in the end, just slide it here, and I'm going to delete this. Now I can select the data beforehand, or I can select the data beforehand, and you can see there is an option called quick analysis. Click here, then there is an option called chart. I can select the scatter plot. That is one option. The second option is keep this data selected, go to insert, and there is an option called scatter plot. Okay, and these are the different version of a scatter plot. In this case I'm going to pick this one, and if I'll select this, you can see the data is already selected, because before clicking on scatter plot I selected the data. The other way is, let me delete this, I'm going to insert scatter plot. Now this is a blank canvas. Go to chart design, and there is an option called select data. So I'm going to click here, and data is lying, this is saying chart data range, and the data is lying in this range. Alright, and if you are wondering what this hash symbol means, this is basically used for dynamic array. Okay, it is a new feature available in Office 365 version. You may not see this in your system, or you might see if you are using Office 365 version. Now I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to add, in the name of the series is, let us say, sales data. For the X value, which is independent, I'm going to select this temperature. I'm going to delete this, and in the series Y value, which is dependent, I'm going to select this entire data. Again, I can see the preview. It seems okay. Click on OK. Okay. Now this is what I have got, and this is what I am trying to make. Now if you look to this graph, you'll find that there is very little space in this side, because there is no data from 0 to 10. The data is starting after 10, and if you look in this, there is in x-axis from 0 to 10 there is no data at all. So I do not need this free space. So what I need to do is my x-axis should start from 10 and go all the way up to 30. And before that, I can change the appearance of this graph too by clicking on this graph and chart, and then go to chart design. And in this one, I have got some template. I'm going to pick this one. Now I need to remove this area, this particular area. I want my horizontal axis to start from 10 and go all the way up to 30. So I'll pick this horizontal level here. Then I'll go to format selection, and here we have this boundaries of this axis. Now you can see it is starting from 0 and it is going all the way up to 30, and this is the value automatically picked by the Excel itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place 10 here. Click here, and you can see now the changes has been reflected here. And measure unit is 5. This is what we call measure unit. From one value to next value, what is the difference? So 10, 15. If I want a difference of 2, I can make it 2 here. And you can see 10, 12, 14, and the difference is going to be 2. 5 seems to be fine to me, so I'll keep the 5. And this minor is set automatically to 1. I can put any value, or I can leave it that way. In the vertical axis, you can see there is no data from 0 to 100. This area is completely blank. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on this one, this vertical level, and then I'm going to place 100 in the minimum box, and now you can see this data seems to be correct. And click outside. What we are missing here, we are missing the level of the x-axis and level in the y-axis. So go back to the data, click here in this box, in this chart, and there is an option called chart element. Click on this box, and there is an option called axis title. And when you click on this arrow, you can see there is primary horizontal. So I'll check this one, and I want vertical too, so I'll check this one. So I've got these two title. Now I want to write here temperature in degrees Celsius, so I can write that manually, or I can just simply copy this value from here, double click in this box, and select everything given there. Oops. Control V to paste, and I'm going to make it a little bit brighter. So go to Home tab and select this color white, so that it a little bit stands out. Now I'm going to select the sales from here, and then press Ctrl V after selection. Again select this box, change the color, it seems correct. Alright, now what else we are missing here? Now there is a line, and this line is what we call trend line. And how can I add that? Simply click on this, click on chart element, and there is option called Trendline. The other way to do the same thing is go to chart design, and there is an option called add chart element. So this is basically shortcut for this one. If you look to this option, these are quite similar to each other. So I'm going to pick Trendline, and it seems that it is going to follow a straight line, so I'm going to select a linear line. Okay. What else we are missing? We need to give level. So what this point represent? It represents sales value, and what this line represent? It is a linear line of sales, which is a trend line. So how I can add that? Simply click on this chart, go to chart design, add element, and there is your option called legend, and I want to put the legend the right side, so I'll pick this right. It seems correct. Resize this graph, and it seems that we have got everything except this particular equation. This particular equation is basically the definition of this line. Okay, and if you look to this, y is the value I'm trying to find for particular x. So x is the value that I'm going to give in this equation. I'm going to multiply that equation, that x value, from this number, which is 31.77. This is what we call slope of this line. If we come back here, this is what I call slope. The multiplication factor of this x is what we call slope. So this is 31.77 is the slope of this line, and this is the constant. The value of c is here minus 182.53. So how I can add that? Just go back to the second sheet, click on this trend line, make sure this trend line is selected. You can see this end, that means it is selected. And in this trend line option, there is option called trend line option, and under this you will find there is another option called display equation on chart, and I'll click on here. Click here, you can see now it is showing the equation. I can drag this here, I can make it a little bit brighter, select this size, can increase the size basically, and it seems that we have got the same value. Now what I can do is just to, in this case it is not going to matter because we have a single series of data, but if I wish I can select this and I can give similar color to this shade. Let's say try this one. Okay, here it is. Now what this trend line represent? It represent that if you want to pick some value, let us say that this value, between these two, if what will be the sales value if I have temperature near to 20. So all I have to do is place 20 here, multiply that by this factor and subtract 182.53, and you will get approximate sales value when the temperature will be exactly 20 degrees Celsius, something like this point, around 450. Okay, so this is where this is very helpful, and it will help you to find interpolate the data. You can use extrapolation too, but that's very risky. Interpolation means finding any value given between these two ranges. So that means my x value is starting from 11.07 and going all the way up to 28.09, and if you look here, there is a value related to 19.07, 20.88, but they do not have value related to 20. So if I wish to find the value related to 20 degrees Celsius, all I have to do is equal to this value, which is 31.77 into 20 minus 182.533. Press enter, and since I was putting this in near to a table, you can see this has been filled in the entire table. So don't worry, that's not a problem at all. I'm going to click Control X, and I'm going to place somewhere else. I'm going to delete this column. Now that simply means if the temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius, I can assume or approximate the sales value will be close to $452. Alright, so that is where this equation comes very handy to interpolate the data. Now what will happen if you have two series? So let's take this example. In this case, you can see that I have got two data sets, one for male, another one is for female, and the data is basically height and weight relationship. So the height is sorted in increasing order and the weight is dependent upon this height. I'm assuming that the weight will increase as the height of a person increases irrespective of the gender. Now it may be true that for the male the weight will be significantly higher as compared to the female for approximately same height. Okay, now these two are independent data because you can see the dependent variable in these two columns are not equal. Okay, the very first value is 58.84, that is the height of the very first person, but in this case the height of the person is 58.67. so although these are two different data set, the nature are same and I would like to compare on the same graph. So how I can do that? Let's see the example. So I'm going to duplicate this sheet here. Now I'm going to delete this sheet. I'm going to insert scatter plot. I've got the canvas. I would like to change the theme first, style first. Go to select data, add, and the very first series name is male, and the series X value, that means height, because I'm assuming that weight is dependent upon height is not dependent upon weight. I can see that if the height of a person increases, the weight is supposed to be increased. So that seems to be a fair argument, rather than saying that if the weight of a person is increasing, the height of the person is also increasing. Okay, that may be true under some circumstances, but that is not always true. Okay, and this is the X value, that is height, and I would like to pick this weight value now. I'm going to delete this. Okay, click OK. So the data set for the male is inserted. Click add, and the series name of this is going to be female. The X value of the female is going to be this one, and Y value, I'm going to delete everything given there. Select the second column, click OK. Now you can see there are two series and there are two given color, so that means each color representing a different series. Click OK. Now if you look to this one, multiple independent series, you can see that I have got this level for blue one is representing male, and this line is a linear line and it is also related to the data set of male. On the other hand, this orange color belongs to the female category, and this trend line is also for the female data set. Alright, so let me refine this again. If you look, the X value is varying from 50 to 80 and Y value is varying from 100 to 250. So there is no need for this area and there is no need for this area. So again I'm going to use the same technique. Select this X level, go to format selection, and out of this I'm going to pick the last one, axis option, and you can see it is varying from 0 to 80 automatically. I'm going to change it from 50 to 80. Okay, that is one option. In this case I have given the X value starting from 55 to 75. So let me make a little bit more closer. Select this one, axis option, and I'm going to start from 55 to 75. Okay, and each division, measure division, I want of 5 unit. and minor of 1 automatically. It seems fine. Now the next task is to remove this area, blank area, so that I can give maximum space to my data. So I'll pick this one, and starting from 0 to 250, and I want it from 100 to 250. So I'll select 100, and I'm going to make it 250, and I'm going to give this division not 20, rather 25. Okay, now it seems fine. I think I do not need this area too, so I will make it to 225. Okay, it seems fine. Now the next step is to add this level, horizontal level and vertical level, axis level. So I'm going to add axis title, and if I'll pick this one, all of these category will be picked automatically. You can see that. Okay, if I want individual one, then I'll have to go there and I'll pick manually any one of them. So I want both of them. I'll pick this one, and I'm going to copy this value and I'm going to paste that value here. I'm going to make it a little bit brighter. I'm going to pick this weight because weight is in vertical axis. Select this one, press Ctrl V after selection, select this text box, click OK. Alright, so it seems I'm done with these two. Now I need to add trend line. As I know, as I've discussed earlier, it should not be very big problem, but this time if I'll go and try to add trend line, a linear one, I'll see two options. One is for male, another one is for female, because we have two data series. I would pick male. Okay, done. I'll repeat the same step for the female. Click OK. The next step is to add the legend on the right side. You can see there, it seems correct. The next step is to show the equation of these two trend line. I'll pick this trend line, display equation on chart, leave it there, select this one, again go to trend line option, display equation. This step is not necessary. I prefer to keep this aside. Now I would like to give this a color similar to this one for a better visual identification. Let me make it a little bit lighter, and this should be automatic. No, it should not be automatic. Select this one, change the color to blue. Okay, now it seems that this is related to this one is related to this one. Come here, and there is a chart title, height versus weight. So I'm going to add a chart title, and I'm going to say, name it height versus weight. Okay, now if you'll zoom in a little bit, you'll find the data is not continuous. For example, you can see there is a big gap between these two data. There is a big gap between these two, and the data available is in cluster here. So I cannot say that the people those were selected to gather this data are equally distributed in terms of height. Anyway, so this equation now can be used to find the weight of any person related between any person whose height vary from 58 inches to 74 inches by interpolating using this particular equation for male category and this equation for female category. Now there is another chart. In this case you can see that, let us say I'm measuring the temperature in a particular city on every other day, and this is how the temperature is increasing. Now there are two sellers in the same city, seller A and seller B. This is the data of seller A and this is the data of seller B. Now these two sellers are selling the ice cream in the same city, and therefore the base temperature for both of them is going to be same. Now although these are two different series, the value over which they are dependent are same. So they are multi-series and dependent. They are multi-series and they are depending upon the same value. Okay. So in this case, all you have to do is, make a new sheet. Let me delete this one. Select this entire data, insert, chart, and you can see automatically they have been drawn. Okay, and you know how to remove this blank spaces there, here itself, every other thing are same. You do not need to separately select this series because they are dependent upon the same variable, so you can use this technique. Okay, and I'm not going to discuss the same thing in detail, how to convert that into this sheet. This one is the last example where you can see that it is, these points are not following a straight line. Okay, now, and even if you look to this equation, it seems that it is a polynomial where the order is maximum given in 3. So let's see how I can draw this. This step is going to be the same. Insert, chart. Okay, you know how to deal with this, adding these elements. You already know that now. Now I want to add a trend line, so I'll go to add a trend line, and there is a first option called linear, and you can see it is not appropriate. It is not following the points very closely. Exponential, it is following the point till 15 marks in x direction, but after that it is going far away from the actual value. This is also not the correct one. This is quite close, but not too close. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to pick any one of these, click on this trend line, go to format selection, and here are the other options available. So I have already tried linear. You can see there is a big difference here. Here these 2 points seems close. This point also seems to be on the same line, but here we have a big difference. So I'll try logarithmic again. The trend line is not following the way I want. Power, you can see it is following quite closely, but you can see there is a big gap here, and as it is moving, the gap is keep on increasing. Moving average, close but not quite close. There is an option called polynomial, and by default the order is given as 2, it may be 1, 2, but since it is polynomial, it is going to be 2 because 1 is going to be linear and it is given as a separate option. So if the order is 2, you can see these points are below the trend line and these points are above the trend line, and here there is a big gap. So I'm going to increase this power by 1, and now if you look closely, you can see this line is following all those points very accurately. If I still not sure, I'm going to increase this, and you can see even if I'll increase the order to the 0.6, it is going to follow the same thing. So 3 seem to be the first order, so I'll keep 3, and now I'm going to display equation on chart. and this is what Excel is going to suggest me for this particular curve. Y is equal to 5x cube minus 3x square plus 4e minus 10x. It's a very small number because it is saying 4 into 10 to the power minus 10x, and it is a very small number, believe me, plus 10. Now if you look to this data set and click on this value first, you will find 5, which is given here, a2, which is basically x to the power cube. So 5x cube, same as this one, minus 3a2. So the a2 is x. So minus 3x square, because you can see here there is a square value, and plus 10. This is basically error because of the conversion into binary, which is going behind the scene in Excel. Alright, so do not worry about that. So this is basically y is equal to 5x cube minus 3x square plus 10. So this equation can be used to interpolate any point varying from 1 to 20. Alright, so that's all in this particular video lecture. If you like that, hit the like button and do share with your colleagues if you find it interesting. Have a nice day.